Well, hey there, listeners. Welcome back to the Brand Marketing Show. I'm Kath Langman, your host here, and today we're going to have a bit of a conversation about the holiday season. And I hope this conversation might change how you think about marketing your brand during the holiday season. And we're not talking just about Black Friday today. We're going to be talking about really from now until the end of December. And I really would like to share with you how purpose-driven brands can really dominate this season without compromising their values, without manipulating their customers, and without training everyone to only and ever buy when a very large discount is on offer. I really want to call it, Green Friday to Green Christmas. I will share why as we get into it. And it really is about so much more than just a few days of deals. Now, before we dive into the episode, I do want to remind you, if you haven't already got a copy of this, my brand fairly new resource that accompanies this topic. It's my premium brand Q4 campaign builder. It's a tool that, it's interactive. It's going to help walk you through a complete step-by-step strategy for running your holiday campaigns in a way that really aligns with your values while still driving really amazing results. It will take you through a few weeks of planning, and you can really tailor it to your own brand. So if you want to grab a copy, if you don't already have it, you can head to productpreneurmarketing.com/Q4. And I will, of course, pop the link to that in the show notes if you just want to go and click on that and make it easy for yourself. Alrighty, so let us dive into the topic, because I have been talking with a number of brand owners recently about, I guess what's about to descend onto our industry with all of the chaos of Black Friday that's going to come, or it might be Black Month or Black 2 months, really. I'm actually almost surprised that I haven't seen a campaign go live yet from some brands. That's how crazy early some of them will launch. But that there is this, it's a bit of a dichotomy, I think, of what's going on in this industry. Some brand owners are really excited and they've been planning and they're ready to launch and they're going to go out with a massive big bang, and they've got lots of bells and whistles and tactics and strategies that they're going to be rolling out to really get lots and lots of sales over the line, which is all well and good. But then there's also a lot of brand owners who don't want to participate in that for various reasons. And it's not about withholding all offers indefinitely and forever, and they don't ever want to run a discount. It's not about that. It's just there's something about these crazy big Black Friday promotions that just does not sit well with a lot of people, consumers and brand owners, really. So let's paint this picture. We are in October now. It means that we're about to be hit with this annual consumption tsunami. Black Friday to Cyber Monday. It used to just be a 4-day promo, but of course, that's not how it is now. And then, of course, into the Christmas panic buying. And somewhere in all of this chaos, your customers, the ones who ideally choose your brand because they care about your quality, your innovation, your sustainability, maybe it's about conscious consumption, maybe it's something else. But for whatever reason, they become and start feeling very pressured, right? Pressured to spend for the sake of getting a deal, pressured to consume for the sake of consuming. It's this whole disposable goods, instant gratification, fast food and fast fashion mentality that is really playing out in real time. And here's what does get me. Is this the world that we really want to live in? Is this the world that we really want our kids to grow up in and to inherit, where everything is about faster, cheaper, and more disposable, where all the local boutiques are disappearing one by one while Amazon and Temu are ruling everything? It feels a little bit endemic, maybe. It could be just me, but that's not the world that I want to be living in. I had a conversation just the other day with a brand owner in Sydney that has stuck with me since. shout out. I'm sure you'll recognize this story when I share it. I won't name it yet because she's pre-launch, but she makes this beautiful kids bedding and really gorgeous designs, illustrations. They're unique to her products, but they're not just products for, like Doonas and whatnot. They've been designed, and her whole brand has been designed with a very specific purpose. So her passion is in education. And so she's built educational elements into her collection. And the idea is that these aren't just products, they are tools for incidental learning and really being able to, I guess, equip parents with moments and tools to engage with their kids on topics that their kids are actually interested in. So it's not like a classroom school lesson by any stretch. So she's gearing up to launch very, very, very soon. She's been talking to lots of people to help her with the marketing to, to do this launch campaign and work with her to grow her brand. And you know what? Several marketers told her, don't focus your marketing on the education side. Just show the products, show the designs and sell the bedding. Which just, I mean, in some respects, it doesn't actually surprise me, but also on the flip side, it does because, to me, that advice, it's just the fastest way to becoming a commodity. You end up competing on price with every other kids bedding brand out there that has a similar-ish kind of design on it, or even doesn't. But, to me, it's the fastest way to attract customers who will only buy when you're 50% off. I mean, think about it. If you are marketing fairy doona covers, you're only reaching out to people who already know that they want a fairy doona cover or a doona cover for their kid that's got a similar sort of design and color palette. And, they're probably comparing your fairy doona cover to other options that they can buy, 10 other options, maybe even more, that they can buy wherever, whether it's from Temu or Amazon or somewhere else. And ultimately, their decision comes down purely on price. But if you are marketing the purpose of, helping engage your child in learning, whether it's learning through play or, taking advantage of everyday moments to incorporate incidental learning into your days with your kids, and you're really going to be attracting a completely different customer, one who really shares that why, and gets excited about the educational value, who really appreciates what you're doing, is willing to pay full price for that. And ideally, also one who's going to be telling their friends about this brand that they discovered. Generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, people are friends with people who do share interests and values. So that is really something that every brand owner should be wanting to tap into. But I keep thinking and relating this conversation back to Simon Sinek and his book that I don't even remember when he published it, but a very long time ago, called Start With Why. And what he talks about is that people don't buy what you do or what you sell, they buy why you do it. And if you can communicate your purpose really clearly, you attract people who believe in what you believe. And I've been working in marketing, I've been working with brands for many, many years now, and I can tell you how many of my clients have been coming up to me saying, recently, Kath, I really just want to not necessarily opt out of Black Friday completely, but find a way to do it that feels congruent and it just doesn't require hopping onto this kind of crazy discount train. And when I ask them why, it's often the same story. I built this brand to make the world better and to provide, better, innovative, creative, sustainable solutions than what was already there, not to manipulate people into panic buying things that they don't actually need. And these are brand owners who did start their business with purpose. They're making the sustainable products. They're making the more innovative solutions to problems and alternatives to things that have been available for a long time. They're supporting artisans. They're creating really quality goods that are meant to last. And, then the holiday season rolls around and suddenly they feel like they have to participate in this culture of disposability that kind of goes against everything that they stand for. But here's what's interesting, and this is where I feel like it gets really good. I think I might have shared this on a recent episode, but last year we started noticing something in the data, and this was not just through Black Friday, it was, across promotions, a number of the promotions throughout the e-commerce calendar that use traditional names, whether it's Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Afterpay Day, Mother's Day, Easter, that kind of thing. They just weren't performing like they used to. Even, the names themselves, like, our open up for our Black Friday deals. I just pulled that out of thin air. It's probably not someone's actual subject line, but even those names themselves, they just aren't engaging audiences anymore. People see Black Friday sale in their inbox and they're just kind of over it. And what that tells me is that your audience is literally asking for a better way. They're kind of exhausted with the pressure and the urgency and the manipulation, and they're sort of asking themselves, what's in it for me? And coming up with not very much. So I want to talk about something else that's important to understand about, really big discount-driven marketing and sales promotions, especially during the holiday season. And I think maybe when I had the fabulous Dr. Ross Honeywell on the show a couple of weeks back, we touched on this and discussed it quite a bit. But yes, you can shift a bunch of stock with really big Black Friday discounts. Yes, you might see, and you probably will see, a big revenue spike for some businesses, a really massive revenue spike. But what a lot of brands don't track is what kind of customers are you actually attracting. So what often happens when you lead with really big discounts during this holiday chaos. First, you're training your customers to wait for sales. They see your brand, they like your products, but instead of buying, they think, I'll just wait until Black Friday when it's cheaper, or I'll just wait till next week or next month because they know that you run sales all the time. And so you've just taught them that your regular prices aren't worth paying. Second, you're attracting deal seekers, not brand believers. These customers don't care about your purpose, your story, or your values, or even, the quality of your product compared to your competitors. They care about just getting the best deal. And next year, they'll probably buy from whoever else has the better discount. Zero loyalty, or as Dr. Ross says, the promiscuous customers. And third, and this is really interesting, discount customers often don't stick around. And this is not to say that your loyal customers don't appreciate an offer. I'm not inferring that. It's more, when you are winning customers in the first time for their first order from a really big discount during a big sale promo. And the data backs this up. The customer acquisition cost might look quite good during Black Friday, or it might not, because we all know that ad costs do spike at this time of the year. But when you look at the 90-day and the 12-month customer lifetime value, it's often not great with those customers that come in to your brand's universe during that kind of a promotion. So these aren't generally the customers who become the rusted on customers, the brand advocates who are really loyal, the ones, they're not the ones who are telling their friends about you. They're definitely not the ones who are going to come back and pay full price later. So yes, you might have a great November top line revenue, but you might also have just set yourself up for a whole lot of pain in the year ahead because you've attracted the wrong customers and trained your good customers to just wait for discounts. So here's something that I think everyone should think about. And a long time ago, I wrote a blog about this. It was called Every Productpreneur Needs a Movement. And I don't mean some kind of fluffy woo-woo, inauthentic, made-up meaning for your business. I do mean it strategically and authentically. But, if you think about it, why did you start your business? What's the purpose behind your brand? Is it to inspire people in some way? Does using your product help people become healthier or save money or feel better about themselves or change habits or take positive action? Uh, if you're thinking, oh, Kath, I just sell products, I'm not leading a movement. I do appreciate that. I mean, I remember thinking the same thing when I started my very first business, and I would scratch my head whenever business experts would pose these sorts of questions and ideas. And I would sort of say, yeah, I just want to run my business and I want to create and sell products that I love. I'm not really leading a movement. But then one day I realized, in a way, I really did have a movement. I did have a purpose-driven brand. So with that first business, it was a baby products business. It was to, really help inspire parents to give their baby the best start in life possible, to become closer to their baby, to make it easy for parents to take care of their baby's health and the environment as well. And here's the truth: people don't get excited about products. They get more obsessed about the purpose, the why, and about brands that stand for something that is important to them. It's that whole WIFM, what's in it for me. So if people don't get excited about products and you want to sell a lot of products, what do you got to do? You put the focus on the people and the purpose, not the product. So back when I went to university and did my marketing degree and my business degree in traditional marketing back then, we were taught to describe things like features and to tell customers what the product is, what it does, and that, why they should buy it from that angle. But customers don't tend to want to buy something because of what it is and what it does. And if they do, it's such a minute percentage of your potential customer base. Like maybe 1% have already decided that this is what they want, right? Whereas the vast majority, they want to solve their own problem. They want to do that by choosing and aligning with brands that share their values. Data has been backing this up for several years now. And so really, the more accurately that you can describe the problem or the desire of the person that you're selling to, the more automatically they're going to believe that you have the right solution for them. And this is where storytelling comes in. It's through telling stories that your audience can relate to your brand. I mean, headlines capture attention, but the stories are what capture imagination. Stories help customers see themselves in your brand. A few years ago, I was working with a client, Felicia, and so Felicia's business was called, I still call Australia Home, and it's a gift business selling Australian products overseas or to customers overseas. And when she started, she really did think that she would be selling high-end gourmet hampers, really beautiful, expensive, fancy. She had the most beautiful boxes designed for these hampers. But what her customers kept asking her for? Tim Tams. Tim Tams, caramellos, Milo, even Vegemite. I mean, it's the comfort foods that reminded homesick Australians of home. And I seem to recall that, at first she was a bit resistant to that. I'm building a premium brand. I can't just sell Tim Tams. But then when she listened, she realized her purpose wasn't about selling fancy gourmet products. It was about connecting people to home and about sparking joy and delight through gifts that celebrate Australia and about sending comfort and love across oceans. And when she understood that, a lot of things changed and really clicked in her business, and her marketing really did become about that emotional connection and not just, selling the product. And her business took off when that happened. But, here's, to me, this is where Green Friday to Green Christmas comes in, which I alluded to early in this episode. So this isn't just about one day or one long weekend promo. This is about really reimagining the entire holiday season from now through to December. So Green Friday to Green Christmas is about turning the holiday season green in 3 ways. First, of course, would be green for your profits. You can still have a wildly successful campaigns without, massively slashing your margins to compete with mass market brands. Second, green for the planet. It's about encouraging mindful, conscious consumption instead of mindless buying frenzies. We don't want to be like chips, seagulls trying to get the chips off somebody's fish and chips plate down at the beach. Not that kind of crazy frenzy. It's about quality gifts that last rather than cheap stuff that ends up in landfill. And third, green for how your customers want to feel. Instead of creating anxiety and buyer's remorse, you create positive feelings of connection, pride, and joy. So, as an example of what this might look like, instead of flash sale, 50% off everything, ends midnight, you might say, give gifts that create memories this Christmas, free premium gift wrapping and a tree planted with every purchase. Now, that might not be what is in alignment with your brand, but hopefully you can feel the difference. One creates panic and scarcity and the other creates warmth and purpose. Or instead of Black Friday doorbuster, 70% off today only, you might say, join our Give Thoughtfully movement, receive our limited edition artisan gift with purchase this week. Maybe also we'll donate to such and such cause that you and your customers care about. Of course, all of that, again, is dependent on what is in alignment with your brand. But the first approach trains your customers to wait for those huge discounts, and it really devalues your products. And the second approach adds value, it maintains your margin, and it makes your customers feel good about choosing you as well. So how do you actually execute this across the entire holiday season? Because, it can feel a bit overwhelming and it's a really long time to sustain a promotion. So a few years ago, when I was working with Felicia, I think this might have been in 2022, so the last year of COVID times, and she just created the most brilliant Christmas campaign. From memory, it ran for 6 months, just from July through to December, and it had a really consistent theme, which was I still believe in Santa. And the concept was just so simple but so powerful. I mean, during that period of time, because of COVID, everyone sort of did really need something to believe in, and Santa isn't the only one who can deliver gifts internationally that Christmas. So what made that campaign so successful was that it wasn't just about quick sales. It was about, brand awareness. It was emotional connection with the storytelling, community building. She created this beautiful illustration of a koala looking up at the moon with Santa and his sleigh. And she developed that into an animated video about a little koala named Christy, I think it might have been, writing a letter to Santa with gifts for her family. And the video wasn't a hard sell. It was just pure storytelling. And it was about the magic of gift giving, about connection, about believing in something wonderful. And, the brilliant part was that she created that story once and the assets for it, and then leveraged that across every channel over several months. So, she could use the illustration on her website homepage. She was able to run the video in her ads. The characters showed up in postcards that went in every package. She created, various different used various different parts of that imagery in her email campaign graphics, and so much more. One really strong theme executed consistently across all channels and for an extended period of time. And of course, she was able to weave different offers and things like that throughout all of that. But, it was the story that really captured the attention of her audience, and it worked. So, maybe despite losing a huge portion of her market during COVID initially, the corporate gifting and tourism and all of that kind of stuff dried up for a period of time when nobody could travel. So she was still up 50% compared to the previous year. And it was because she wasn't just selling products, she was selling the magic of connection, and she was tapping into what people needed emotionally during a really difficult year. Now, obviously, we're not in COVID times now, but, besides that, it is the rest of it that just works so well with that storytelling, with the imagery, with the theme that ran throughout that entire campaign. And so in terms of how you actually execute this for your own business and brand, I mean, obviously, first you need to get really crystal clear on your purpose and not your product features, your actual brand purpose. Why does your brand exist? What change are you trying to create in the world? That Sydney bedding brand I mentioned, her purpose is making learning joyful and accessible for kids and parents. And, that's so much more powerful and wonderful than we just sell kids bedding. And Felicia, her purpose is connecting people to the joy and wonder of Australia, which is a whole lot more powerful than we sell Australian souvenirs. So, what's yours? And second, create one really strong campaign theme that ties to your purpose and runs through the entire holiday season, not a different promo every week. One consistent story. So for Green Friday to Green Christmas, your theme should connect your purpose to the season. And so you want to think about, how does your brand make the holidays more meaningful? And how do your products create, it could be, how do they create connection, joy, learning, sustainability, whatever your purpose is. And then third, think about offers that add value, and how can you offer value to your existing as well as new customers during this period of time that doesn't involve, these really hefty discounts, or that kind of those, scarcity-based pushy sales tactics. So how could it could be gift with purchase, so something really meaningful that ties to your purpose. It could be, adding premium services in. It could still be, gift vouchers. There's a lot of different ways that you can come up with something. You can combine different things together, and, come up with something that is really appreciated by your audience. And then you want to create campaign assets that you can use across all channels. So you want to start with a hero image or illustration, could be a short video or animation if you can, email templates with consistent branding, social content that really tells your story, website banners that reflect your theme, packaging inserts that continue the experience. And then you really want to measure your success differently. Yes, absolutely be tracking revenue, tracking, costs per conversion and all of that good stuff, but also track customer satisfaction and feedback, social sharing and word of mouth if you can, customer lifetime value, not just immediate sales, repeat purchase rate. So, down the track, be looking at the 90-day and the 12-month loyalty rates from the cohort that you're about to welcome into your business. So what might this actually look like from your customer's perspective? Because this is also really, really important. You want to imagine your ideal customer during traditional Black Friday season. They might be waking up to 470 emails, all screaming urgency, countdown timers, last chance, don't miss out, ends in 6 hours, etc. They're probably going to feel a bit anxious and pressured and overwhelmed. Even if they buy something, they might be feeling a bit guilty about spending money or worried that they made the wrong choice. That whole buyer's remorse feeling. It's not very fun. And then now imagine your ideal customer during Green Friday to Green Christmas. They might receive communications from you, emails, multiple emails. They might see your messages elsewhere as well, from your brand that tells a story. Maybe it is the artisan who made the product. Maybe it's about how their purchase supports a cause that they care about. Or maybe it's about creating meaningful moments with family or something else. There's no countdown timer creating anxiety. There's anticipation and warmth instead. There's an offer that adds value, a beautiful gift with purchase, or a premium service or a gift voucher that really makes them feel special. And when they buy, they feel proud of supporting a brand that aligns with their values, and excited to give a gift that has meaning behind it, connected to something bigger than just a transaction. So which kind of customer do you think becomes a loyal advocate? Which one tells their friends? Which one's likely to come back and buy again? Ideally at full price. Your customers didn't choose you because you manipulated them into choosing you. They chose you because you represent something they believe in, and your holiday marketing really should be reinforcing that and not undermining it. So here's what I really want you to think about as we wrap up. Every time you choose purpose-driven marketing over manipulative marketing, every time you choose conscious consumption over mindless buying frenzies, and every time you choose community building over discount chasing, you're not just making a business decision, you're making a cultural statement as well. You're saying that commerce can be about more than extracting as much money as possible from customers. You're saying businesses can be a force for good. And you're saying that the relationship between brands and customers can be built on trust and shared values, not manipulation and pressure. And honestly, I think that's the kind of world our kids deserve to inherit. So, my challenge for you is, what if this holiday season, instead of following the same old playbook that makes everyone feel terrible, you tried something completely different? What if you created campaigns that made your customers proud to support you? What if you built community instead of creating chaos? What if you shared or showed other brands that there's a better way to do this? What if you turned your purpose into a movement that people really wanted to be a part of? And that's what Green Friday to Green Christmas can be all about. I don't think many of us there probably are business owners out here there who do this, but I don't think you started your business to just manipulate people into buying stuff for the sake of buying it. I think the listeners of this show really did start their business to make a difference, to create something meaningful, something quality, to build a brand that really reflects something of value. And I think that your holiday season marketing should do the same thing. So before we wrap up, don't forget to go and grab my Green Friday campaign builder. Well, really, I called it my premium brand Q4 campaign builder, but this tool is going to help you do exactly what I've just been talking about. It'll help step you through a bespoke strategy, campaign strategy for your business in Q4. So all the holiday campaigns, in a way that ideally really does align with your values while still driving amazing results. So head to the podcast show notes page to click on the link, or just head to productpreneurmarketing.com/Q4 and download your copy for free. Because honestly, the more brands that join this movement, the better our industry becomes for everyone. Remember, sustainable, purpose-driven brands are growing 64% faster than the alternatives. Your customers do want to buy from brands that share their values. This isn't just the right thing to do, it's also good business. So let's make this holiday season about a lot more than transactions. Let's make it about connection, purpose, and creating the kind of commerce that we want to see in this world. So here's to changing the game together, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye for now.